What's up, Trainiacs? We have a super interesting project. If you've been following, you've been noticing that I've been working on my running form a fair bit lately, trying to be more efficient, and I got put in touch with a run coach over Instagram who lives in Australia who works on running form. Also, NTK's here. Say hi.
Well, hello.
Oh, we got fresh new lines in the track here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to FaceTime in Paul, this running coach. NTK is going to point the camera at me. I'm gonna run back and forth on the track, and Paul is going to assess my running form. And with these AirPods, he's gonna coach me. Whoa, that unpaused it. He's gonna coach me via the AirPods into better running form. And then when we go back to the pain cave, we'll talk about what he coached me into. How colorful am I, by the way? So colorful. Wait until you see the pinny I'm wearing.
Well, that's new. Oh, you got your new shipment.
These are new too. Good, how are you? You're on camera, by the way. We're gonna record this and then use it for a YouTube video. Exactly, yeah. You're just bright and shiny in the morning.
Kim, could you see noticeable change in his movement?
I would have to have been paying attention, so no.
Most people, even if they have nothing to do with running, they'll see someone who runs really well and someone who runs really poor. And because it's such a natural motion, they'll be like, geez, that person runs really well. I have no idea why or how, what's making that person run so smoothly, but they'll be able to pick up on it.
Yeah.
Then you get people who understand running and understand movement and go, yeah, I can see that person, that they run really well, but have no idea why. And then it's about, okay, once you start to get an understanding of why, then the next step is, well, how do I change it? And that's where I step in.
Okay, so full disclosure, this is a couple days later. I spent the weekend trying to incorporate what just happened with Paul, the balanced runner that you should all check out on Instagram. The guy's killing it. I got so many messages from people that are saying Paul really helped me. But I wanted to make sure that what we did with Paul at the track there was at least able to either feel better or perform better when I started running, instead of just doing this really controlled situation at the track and then come here and be like, oh yeah, it went great, but I don't actually know if it works. It worked. I had a good weekend of running. So what you'll notice from a lot of my run footage that I've been noticing lately is a few things. Number one, I feel stiff in the upper body. If you take a look at it, basically from here up, it looks and it feels very mechanical. And what Paul ended up identifying is that my shoulders, they aren't swinging like this. They're kind of locked off. And he asked me while I was running, he's like, how do your shoulders feel? What sensation are you feeling as far as swinging back and forth? And I said, honestly, it doesn't feel like I'm swinging my shoulders much at all. He went, that was a trick question. Touché, Paul. And what he said is that instead of, say, my shoulders going like this, creating upward motion, essentially I was locked off from here up and I was running, basically trying to move forward, but twisting as I was going. So all of my energy was going that way, then that way, then that way, instead of up and forward. And then what that also resulted in that I was feeling down below is it was always feeling like my hips were having to push through the run instead of snap, hit the ground. And you see how pro runners will put, who's really good at this? Matt Hansen's running. You can see that he's got snap off the ground. It's like every single foot strike, it has a full body propulsion sending him forward. Whereas in my case, it felt like I was having to push my way through the running stride, even though I was running more or less under my center of gravity or just slightly ahead, but it's not like I was braking a lot. I was also having an asymmetrical foot stride where one foot was just kind of sweeping along the ground, where the other foot was able to kick up in behind me, and it all just kind of felt unnatural. So let me show you what he fixed. So all of those problems, Paul said in my case, were coming from all of that stiffness that you'd see in the upper body. My lower body has to offset what my upper body is doing, and if my upper body is really stiff, my lower body is going to have to fight through that stiffness. And if I'm asymmetrical up here, having decent arm carry there and a little bit of kind of chicken wing over here, my lower body is going to have to offset that. So what we've got is on the left is my new recommended running stride. On the right is my old running stride. And I'll tell you how this resulted in a really good run just yesterday. So what we ended up doing is one of the big things. Take a look at my right arm and you'll see, say there, where the right arm with the new running stride is a little bit tighter in the body, but I'm not thinking about keeping it tight into the body or keeping it away from getting that chicken wing. What I'm focused on is, if you just look at that right arm, what I'm focused on is just letting it fall naturally into a pendulum of where it'd want to be. So if you were to stand just upright and just kind of swing your arms in a pendulum, that's all he said to do, is just focus on that. You can see that there's just less up and down bounce with the new running stride. And as far as the feeling of it goes, it feels so much more natural. Now I do obviously have to think about the running stride a lot more right now. It's not exactly natural because I've only done a few repetitions of it. But what Paul says is that because it's more efficient, and we know that for a fact, and I'll tell you why, because it's more efficient, your brain is going to say, oh, that feels a lot better. I want to do that. So as long as I can keep cueing myself to feel more efficient, my body is going to want to very quickly start falling into that more efficient running stride. And you can make changes very quickly. It's not like swimming where you need tens and tens of thousands of meters because it's a foreign environment and you can't really feel your body and your proprioception as easily. With running, your body can feel right away, hey, that's better. Now let me tell you about the results. So yesterday, I did an easy run, and these easy runs for me these days are trying to keep my heart rate at 135 beats a minute or lower. A very, very slow and steady pace. And in my case, it was actually feeling so slow because of that clunkiness that I was starting to get more beat up from that easy running than I would running harder. And because there was so much pounding, there was so much impact, I was actually finding it like exponentially harder to go that easy. So I would go, say, 530 kilometers, and then as my body would get beat up from being inefficient, I would have to slow that down to 535 kilometers, 540 kilometers, 550 kilometers to keep my heart rate low. Went for a 6K run yesterday. First kilometer, 520 at like 120 beats a minute. Second kilometer, 517 at about 122. And as I went, I was actually able to get down to about a 505 kilometer, keeping my heart rate under 130. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm gonna go to a 5K race and be a minute or 2 minutes faster, but what it's an indication of is that I can now run a lot smoother, because even just the feeling of it, my hips feel like they're snapping forward like that Matt Hansen elastic running. I feel like the recoil is actually propelling me a lot more forward. I don't feel like I'm spending all of my energy from here pumping blood to my muscles just to get over myself. I'm actually doing it to go forward. And if I can just consistently run instead of a 535 or 540 kilometer at the same beats per minute, and I can get down to a 510, a 515 kilometer at similar beats per minute, all of a sudden my threshold of Ironman running around 450, 5-minute kilometers, it's going to be easier for me to bring that down to a faster pace because I'm not working so hard just to chug along. I'm actually working at an effort that is kind of close to my race pace while keeping my heart rate low so that I can run a lot. So this is really cool. I really recommend that you go and follow Paul at The Balanced Runner. Now, he doesn't do this FaceTime online consulting all the time. He was just kind of saying that this is a first test for him, but he's just new to it. So he's building up the audience and posting a lot on his website and on Instagram. But at least go follow him now, go check it out. He's got interesting stuff, and I'm sure as he comes out with more things, it's going to be easier and easier for people all around the world to get access to the stuff that he is professing that I have experienced. And actually, go subscribe to the Triathlon Taren podcast because we're going to do a podcast with him. All right, later, Trainiacs. Thank Paul. Thanks, Simon, for setting me up with him.